Hey folks in YouTube land, this is Perry again. I just wanted to show off a new piece of equipment. This is a 1985 Fadal VMC40. This is the machine that pretty much started it all for Fadal. You know, there was the VMC45 that came before, but that was really not a production machine. I got this machine on eBay from a guy in Merlin, and I got it for basically scrap price, which is good because there are some good and there are some not so good things about this machine. Let me start with the good. Well, the good is because this machine didn't have an enclosure around it, it was just the chip pan style. I don't think it's seen a lot of hours. The not so good about that is that the whole lubrication system was non-functional. And if you look here, those Z-ways, they got rusty. They got, some long time rust on them. The Z-axis ball screw, I think, has a bit more than 5 to 6/10 that it indicates on the inside of the cabinet of backlash. So this machine, good control works. It had been maintained up until the, I would say, late 90s. Somebody had replaced a lot of the stuff that is known weak points, like the spindle drive. It has the Mitsubishi Freakwall Z300 5-horse vector drive. So there's that. Let me pop the other cabinet open and I'll show you inside of that. Let me, well, I can't really kick on a light with this right now, so let me just hit the flashlight. So we've got all the control cards in here. The main CPU board is it's a 1400-1, I believe. It's the first generation CNC88 board. The machine, things that have been done to it, let me tone this down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so the power supply has been replaced. It's got a later model ATX kind of style power supply. It has the later model main power board. It has a 4th axis servo drive, which is currently not hooked up, but it's there. Let's see. The battery was replaced in '91, so that CPU card's been swapped out. Other things that have been done, like I said, it had the drive replaced. It's had some cards replaced as well. The axis drive cards, X, Y, and Z are all the same. They're all the same vintage. The spindle drive card is the newer vintage one, and the 4th axis card is actually quite a bit older. The DAC on there, they're all the same part number, but they're obviously made at different times. So anyway, but it's all there. Allegedly the RS-232 doesn't work, which I understand is a common problem with surge faults and stuff like that. I'm guessing that they didn't have robust line driver receivers. I don't think that should be a huge problem to fix by myself. They do sell boards for a few $100s. Now, let's go on to the pendant here. This is the original CNC88. It's not an 88HS, it's not MP, it's the original CNC88. This is a closed circuit television monitor for like a security system. That is not original, that was replaced. The keyboard right here, I'm pretty sure that the keyboard has been replaced, so that's in good shape. You've got your feed override and your e-stop. All that stuff works. All the servo drives come up and work, but I'll let you in on a little secret. When I did my retrofit on my Shizuoka about 12, 13 years ago, it had the Glentech servo motors on it, and I kept those servo motors. And those are exactly the same servo motors that this has. So I've got 3 good servo motors sitting in a box for spares if I need them. It's got the Acme transformer, which would have made it like a 1002A rev schematic. All the stuff in here is like 1002A rev instead of 1002. No, I'm sorry, it's B rev, not A rev. The ways, because the lubrication system wasn't working, that's the lube box right there. I replaced the intake filter and now it works. There was about a 1/4 inch of goo in the bottom of it. The ways haven't been lubricated in a while. They weren't terribly bad. This thing has sat for the last 10 years in the previous shop. The guy got it and he didn't learn how to use it, and thankfully he didn't, because this would have been a bucket of scrap if he had, because he would have just blown these ways out. These are not turkited ways. These are iron on iron ways. So the Z is pretty filthy. I mean, this whole machine was really filthy. There was a layer of black greasy dust, and on below that was MDF chips. So this is something that you don't see every day. This is a Fadal. It's a 3-range spindle. So you've got your high range, medium range, and low range. I believe this is a 7,500 RPM spindle. It has air blast lubricated spindle bearings. It's not greased, so there's an air blast lubricator on the side of the machine, which looks like it still works. So I think this is 2,500, 5,000, and 7,500 RPM ranges. The spindle motor is gross. See all those right there? Those are the ventilation holes. This motor is coming apart. So I'm probably going to put some new bearings in it. The very least, it's going to get cleaned up. The bellows that covers the Y-axis screw is not attached at the anchor point there, so I need to fix that. I did wipe the ways off, and then I threw some way lube on them, and I had to move the table out to be able to clean it the rest of the way. I've just been using the vacuum cleaner. I have all of the lubrication manifolds out. I'm going to order new metering units. If anybody needs to find metering units, Fadal VMC or something like that, it's CNC Pros based out of Idaho, Meridian, Idaho. They have the metering units, the Bajur metering units, for $5.95 a piece. That is the cheapest I found them. The next cheapest price is $13 through McMaster-Carr. So they have those. I'm going to order up a full set of 16 tomorrow. Also, right here, you can see there's a T right there, and there's a bolt stuck in it. Well, somebody broke the line that is supposed to run from here along the bottom of the chip tray, and then it comes back here, comes up, it loops around the front of the chip tray, and right here, you can see my finger, yeah. There's a bolt hole right there. Well, anyway, the manifold mounts down here, and then that hose comes up the front of the chip tray and feeds the manifold. So I need to get that hose. I'm going to try to come up with something more robust than what they had from the factory, rather than just a rubber hose there. The 40-20, 60-30, and 80-30 had a different lubrication system, and they had a chain, a plastic chain with a tube through it that ran underneath the table to feed oil to the table. This does not have oil fed to the table. It's all to the saddle. And anyway, those chains are available as kits for retrofitting. And what I'm thinking of doing is just getting one of those big chains and then running the hose from there up to here, and then basically starting the chain at the front of the chip tray, make a bracket that hangs off the casting here. And then the chain would attach, the fixed end of the chain would be here, and then the moving end would be right there. So that's what I'm thinking. Anyway, the coolant system on it is a little bit wacky. I don't know that they're the original coolant parts, but I did get a couple of coolant trays, sumps with it. You can still see there's a little bit of that cruddy stuff down in there, but the ways are not really, really bad. So I don't think it got operated very much with the way lube system non-functional. But anyway, the description on eBay said basically the thing turns on and it moves. He doesn't know how to use it. The documentation that had notes from the owner he bought it from said there were 3 things wrong with the machine. Lube line, yeah, that's kind of an understatement. Second one was the tool change. Something doesn't work with the tool change. Well, the turret spins. I can spin that under control. This valve right here works because I have applied air directly to the valve. The issue may be that the orient doesn't work. I don't know. It could be that prox sensor right there, if you look, well, you're not going to be able to see it real clearly, but the top of this pulley right here, if I can get my camera to focus on it, let me tone down the brightness. Okay, the top of the pulley right there isn't supposed to be stepped. That step is created by the ball bearing that is used. There's a roller bearing that rides on the spindle, and then there's a detent right there that causes the spindle to stop and then orient. Well, there's a proximity sensor that reads magnets in this aluminum pulley, and that proximity sensor has been slightly cut into by a burr that was raised on the corner right here. And that has created a little gap, which you can just see right there. Yeah, you can see it if you look. I'm shooting right at it there. Let me backlight it and you'll see it better. Well, anyway, there's a proximity sensor, Hall effect sensor, and it's causing problems. I don't know if there's a problem with it, but so RS-232 tool change and lubrication system. And you know, this machine, I've got $1,000 into it, plus my drive time to go pick it up. So I don't have a lot of money into it. It's a bit of a basket case, a project for me. I didn't want to spend a bunch of money. I don't need to have a mill up and running right now. It was just kind of a nice to have, and this deal came up, and it just kind of fell in my lap. So anyway, you know, with a few more parts, I think it'll be up and running, and I'll have a working Fadal 40 VMC. And I do have a bunch of Cat 40 holders left over from a previous machine that I had. Anyway, if you look down here, you can see fork pockets in the casting, and I'm going to build a cradle. I'm going to put some 4-inch C-channel, 5.4 pounds per foot, which is roughly 3/16 thickness. I'm going to have 2 that cross like forks, and then 2 that run front to back, and those will have casters on them, and it'll all be welded together. So the thing will float off the floor maybe 3/4 of an inch on casters, and then when I get it in its final place, I'll use the leveling screws with leveling pads to jack it up off the casters. So anyway, I know this is a long video, but I just wanted to share what I've been working on. I got a little shop thing going on Practical Machinist now, showing this project. I got to update that with some photos and a narrative, because the photos are better quality. And I don't know, I kind of like narratives like that with pictures instead of videos. But anyway, I got the machine powered up tonight just with a temporary cord. So I need to make that a little more permanent. And then I need to get those metering units and put the lubrication system back together and finish cleaning these ways off. They're staining in the cast iron. So I think that's the biggest issue. And once I get the ways put back together and the lubrication and the motor, you know, then I think I'll be good to go. So, well, thanks for watching, and have fun. Bye.